Welcome back, YouTube. So, we just finished the initial scenario of Campaign Game 4, Valor of the Guards. We're going to be going through a complete refit phase and get it set up for the next mission. I won't go into the laying down of suspect counters for the next mission because that's going to be long and arduous probably. I don't want to bore you to death with that, but we're going to cover the refit phase at a minimum and figure out what's going to happen, whether or not there's a Russian Knight counterattack or not as we go through the list. So what I'm referring to here is Chapter V rules, refit phase. So I'll be referring to this as we go. And we're going to go sequentially right from conclusion of melee and all the rest of this stuff all the way through to scenario commencement. Some of these we're going to miss because we might get a Russian counterattack at night, which means you don't get the full complement of changes. But again, we'll see as we go along. So without further ado, we're going to declare this a German victory because based on the victory conditions for the initial scenario, Germans have to amass greater than or equal to twice as many CVP as the Russians. Looking at our casualties been easily attained of almost 3 times as many CVP as the Russians have accumulated. I'm going to recalculate this based on other stuff, but right now it looks like it's going to be a German victory leading into the next scenario. Alright, so refit phase. Now, one thing I did already do is a close combat that was happening here. I ran it to completion and it ended up killing the 548 that was there, and the 2 Russians are successful. So that's going to kind of impinge a little bit the boundary around this area, the perimeter, but we'll see what that looks like afterwards. So conclusion of melee, which is the first step of the refit phase, as I've just said, has been already completed, so there's nothing left. Now we clear the map of any extraneous markers like smoke. Get rid of all the gray smoke. These blazes and flames are going to turn into other blazes and flames and destroy terrain. But yeah, we'll get to that. All right. So what other counters? Radios and field phones. So this guy's gone. All the CX counters are gone and disrupted. Right, what else? Next is sniper counters are all gone. Just move them aside. All right, next is determination of the victor. As I said, because of the initial scenario victory conditions, I have to amass more than twice as much, which I've easily done. All right, all currently broken units on both sides automatically rally. You may have noticed that all the gray suspect counters that were over on the right side have all been removed. None of them are going to be playing into this next phase, so just to clean up the board a little bit, I've already gotten rid of those. Four Pioneers finally get rallied. All right, so that is rallies are all done. Um, Next we have encirclements, non-applicable, minefields, non-applicable. Perimeter determination now. No, I've been placing these control markers here as I've been going along. I may have missed a couple, but by and large, most of them are down where they're supposed to be. The important ones are anyways. Those are the ones that are going to help me delineate my perimeters. Okay, so next we do control markers. As I said, just already done. So next we're going to place some suspect counters or borders and such. All right, so we start placing perimeter markers. I'll do the Germans first. And basically the concept is you're using, uh, what's the terminology? Hex grains and alternate hex grains. So a hex grain, for example, is like from here to here. That's a straight hex grain. Alternate hex grain would be starting here, bouncing forward, coming back, bouncing forward, coming back, or vice versa, depending how we go. Now, I, as a general rule, will tend to go backwards rather than taking extra ground. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I don't know. But it seems more fair that way. All right, so then you're going to come straight down to here. over to here, down to here. And this is essentially going to be forming the front line that I have to set up with in the next mission. So we can go all the way down to here. I'll put one here just for continuity's sake. Now here I have a bit of a problem. I'm not sure where to go. Now I've claimed these as strategic locations. So what I'm going to do is use them to bring my border around, because otherwise I'm not sure exactly how to go around this little 628. That might be a pocket, because I can go alternate, like back up, back up, back up. That doesn't really strike me as fair that this would be a pocket, or this one here as well. But that's why I'm just going to go around like that, which I think is, you know, the more along the lines of the intent. From here on in, though, it's fairly straightforward. And as long as you don't enter the same hex twice in the process, you keep going like this till your border is complete all the way across the map. Now, again, something that I was not there here. Yeah. Something I was bearing in mind as I was playing this scenario was to make sure that I had a nice clean boundary, just because I don't want to figure some of this stuff out, like I said, around the one railway whenever possible. Again, I'm not sure if this is legitimate or not. It strikes me as yes, because I do have these locations. However, you're supposed to be putting these perimeter markers on locations that have multi-man counters. Oops, no, it's not. It's still 12.6064 perimeter markers for Chapter V. You place perimeter markers in ground level locations containing a friendly infantry, MMC, and a control marker. My bad. So control markers do count. And a strategic location is basically any rail car, wood building, stone building. There's quite an exhaustive list of strategic locations. Right here. So each sewer, each lumberyard, railcar, rubble, pillbox, entrenchment, non-water obstacle, map edge hex, and shore hex is a strategic location. So that is a lot of strategic locations. Stone hexes alone, this will come into play later on for subsequent missions when they have to control stone. There's 557 stone hexes on the map. Right now, as of this play, there might be more depending on how rubble falls. But it'll come into play later on when it controls those. So there's a lot of strategic locations in this initial phase for sure, especially with all the rail cars and such. So I guess that was legitimate. So let me just go confirm that I actually have everything. Yeah, see this tank here? He might be outside of a pocket. Same with this tank. However, it's adjacent to a zone, so he might just be able to get a reorganization. Okay, so I'm convinced now that this is in fact the correct way to do it. All right, so that's the Germans. Now we're going to repeat the process on the Russian side. Now the Russians own this building here because I've never entered it, so they get that one actually. So this looks like it's a no man's land. Although I suppose they would get that one as well, since it is a strategic location and I have not claimed it, so they would get that one. Yeah, that's fine. Now I did claim this, so I do get this. All right, from here we go straight down. There we go. Okay, so we've got nice borders everywhere. I believe perimeters are all done correctly. All right, what's next in the refit phase? Perimeter markers are down, so now we have to determine if there's any pockets. I do not believe there's any pockets, but there are some isolations. So you are isolated because you fall outside of the, wait a minute. Where's this one go? Dink, dink. No, that is there. Goes diagonal to there. So yeah, you and you. Although back, forth, back, forward, back, forward, back. Okay, you're not. But you are. So that's one isolated unit. You're in. And that's it. So I got one isolated unit. So now we jump to 12.6073, escape from isolation. So modifiers, it's 2 dice. -1 if within 2 hexes of a friendly controlled isolated, non-isolated hex. If adjacent is another -1. So there's a -2 to this roll. Okay, so that escapes. So you're back. You are back in friendly territory. All right, and that is it. Now, no Russian units are trapped. I do gain control of all these guns, so I'm just going to destroy them. I believe that is right. Yep, escape results are done. So now we draw the perimeter. This is where you copy onto the shrunk down version that comes in the rulebook, so you can delineate your boundaries. Both players, if you're face to face, would draw their borders. Now I'll do that in a second after I clear the map. So now we remove all non-isolated, non-TI units equipment from friendly control locations. So except you're mobilized. Everything within this perimeter is now mine. You're gone because you were just an armored cupola, however you say it. Gonna destroy you. Gonna destroy you and you. Maybe I shouldn't have. I don't know. But they strike me as more of a pain in the ass than worth the effort. I'm gonna leave that recall on the map for now. Can never have enough guns. I don't need mortars. What about bogged? It says immobile, not bogged vehicles, so I think the bog comes off. Does that happen? I'll leave the bog one on for now, just in case. I'm not sure if it comes off or not. I guess you're no longer berserk. I'll be right back, guys. All right, little intermission there. Um, no, you are outside. No, you're in. So I get you back. And you back as well. Fun to sort all that out. Looks like a lot, but there's going to be a lot of areas I'm going to have to defend in an ensuing counterattack if it happens. So yeah. All right. Now next up is the Russian side. So now Russian forces are not retained. They're handled by the solitaire rules. So basically, all these are going to get deleted. The only thing that stays are guns in fortified locations that I can't be moved, and well, fortifications in general. I guess you would actually go like that, right down the hex screen. So I don't need that. Oops, that's why I was going to keep them. I like to keep track of my forces, so that I generate from the Russian side, just you know, my own little mensurations. So I'm going to keep those aside, but I'm going to delete all the blacks. Yeah, we'll keep you two. I'd like to know how many of each squad and such were activated. All right, all you guys can go. I won't bore you to death when I count these guys up. I'll do that off camera. Right here in no man's land. All right, so that is the boundary. That is a perimeters done. I guess you would come off as well, although you're under recall. Is there a spot for you? Nope. Let's put you here for now. All right, next up, we've cleared the map. Isolated units and pieces are still on board, of which there's only really the couple of tanks that are immobilized and bogged, and oh yeah, I was gonna put that in there. And I just realized I've deleted all those Russian guns, so I'm gonna have to go back in the video and look at that again. All right, what's up next? Isolated areas, non-retained equipment. Hidden fortifications, none. Extinguishing blazes. So this has to happen in sequence. Each burning wreck is transferred to the burnt out wreck counter. So you are gone. No burnable train around you. And so then I put a burnt out wreck there. Next, we go 12.6104 non-factory buildings. For each such building, at least one blaze in any of its locations must be made on the non-factory building table to determine whether the building will become gutted or rubbled. All right, single dice. Is that 4? Building becomes a gutted building. Now you are a gutted building. Now, I'm not sure if F-35 is actually gutted initially. I don't believe it is. I'm playing it like it's not. So that'll obviously come into play. All right, so you get a gutted marker. You guys turn into flames, right? And then each adjacent terrain also gets a blaze. So you, 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 and you, all blazes. Those blazes are in effect for the next scenario. Let's just do a bog check. Okay, you're not bogged anymore. 3 times 6, 18. Might be immobilized though. +5, +6. I think you're immobilized as you try and unbog. I'm pretty sure I did that correctly. So the way that would work is I just rolled a bog check. Well, let me look in the book just in case I don't want to end up screwing myself. I'd like to have a mobile Stug, especially one of the G models. All right, so MP cost of the okay, final color die roll is 1 to 4, which is a 3, so it is freed, even if its total MP allotment is less than the modified start MP expenditure. So it is not immobilized, it is freed. All right, you, having freed yourself, can now join the party. Carrying on. Flame spread is done. Now we have to do wounded leaders. All right, that's it for wounded leaders. So on a final die roll less than 2, the leader is retained in his wounded state. On a 3+, the leader is considered the same wounds to require evacuation. So 1 or 2. So he's dead. 6 + 1 is really? All right, so you're gone. You're retained as a 5 + 2. Unreal. Not sure where the hero comes into play. Okay, so next is up is Battle Hardening and Promotion. Each side may retain 1 half squad for each light mortar currently retained as OB. And then I have to recombine everything. Alright, so let's find a clear part of the map. And I'll have to start sorting this out. Alrighty, so how many mortars do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mortars. And I'm allowed to keep 1 half squad for each light mortar currently retained. So I can only have 6 half squads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Look at that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you guys are there. So that is 10. So I need 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You guys are full squads. You guys are deleted. All right, heroes on MMC on each side. Each retained hero was eliminated. However, each such hero eliminated enables outside the battle hardened 1 MMC of the owner's choice. So you go bye-bye, and I can battle harden a squad. Do I want a 4-6-8 or do I want a 4-6-7? I mean, a 4-6-8 would be pretty good. I'll battle harden you. And a secret die roll to determine number of retained that battle hardened. So this is a die roll. A 9 is going to be, wow. So these are the modifiers. So -3 per scenario, 1. So -3 already. -1 per 20 CVP amassed by friendly side in the previous scenario. And then we said 210. So -10, -13 total. So it's going to be a 5 MMCs can battle hardened. So we'll go U. I'm just going to use this for tracking purposes later on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alrighty, leaders. Each heroic leader battle hardens. Too bad I lost my 8-0. I was wounded and then heroic. And he finally died due to a sniper shot after going through so much. Secret die roll to determine how many... what? Each side also makes 1 secret die roll to determine to battle harden a retained infantry leader using the side's column on the following table. With a -2 modifier. So that is a 7 -2 is a 5, so an 8-1 battle hardens to a 9-1. Alrighty. Promotion out of the ranks. I can also do that instead. So I can swap out an 8-0. I can swap out an A1 for an 8-0 and a 7-0. I don't think I need to worry about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 leaders I have. And I lost 6. Yeah, I lost 6 liters. Hmm. All right, so next we have 12.613 Russian counterattack declaration. Now, because I'm playing solitaire, I have to make a roll on the table. So we refer to Mr. Morin's rules, and specifically the initiative determination. So the modifiers, right now there's a -2 for the Russian, for historical DRM. -2 for being a Russian enemy, so that's a total -4. This is not applicable because I believe -5 because friendly side won. ELR hasn't changed, and for each 60 suffered by the enemy in the previous, which would be a +3. So -5 +3 would be a net -2. Now, if you look here, it says a 1 or a 2 is going to be, a 1 is an attack, a 2 plus is going to be idle. So let's see what it is. So it is going to be a Russian nighttime counterattack. Alrighty, nighttime Russian counterattack. I was kind of hoping to actually avoid that. And if I refer to my rule modifications that I'm using, what I was actually going to change it to was on a 2 or less, it would be a counterattack, and a 3 plus would be idle. Just to increase the chances slightly of that, but obviously didn't play into it and rolled a 1, given all the modifiers. It was going to happen. All right, so Russian counterattack declaration. So now I have to miss some steps. All right, so I don't adjust the snipers. If you wreck recovery, mobilization, removal, wreck, repair, ELR loss, gain, and weather have all been unchanged. Everything else I have to do. All right, so we skip to armor redeployment and CPP replenishment. Armor redeployment. Which means my immobilized AFV are stuck where they are. Which kind of sucks. All right, each mobile non-isolated retained AFV under recall is returned to good order. So you are returned to good order. And I can attempt to repair the malfunctioned weaponry. And you. I believe that is it. All right, so you. All right, so we look at 12.6152 for weapon repair. And here we make a single die roll. And you're basically looking for really low. So -2 for vehicle mounted, -1 for weapon repair number. So a total of -3. I need a 1 or less. So that is repaired. So you are gone. You are gone as well. So both guns are back in play. Now I have to roll to see if if any AFV troops are deployed. Uh, yeah, deployed to other fronts. So let me organize these into platoons. This thing is useless. All right. Secret dial on the following table to determine which non-isolated, non-dug, and retained AFV platoon, whether platoon must be redeployed, temporarily removing him from play for the next scenario. So this is going to be single die, and we have modifiers of friendly size win-loss ratio is less than or equal to 1 to 2. Oh, not applicable to 2 snares have played. Minus, plus or minus historical for current day. So no modifier, a 6 or less, a 5 or less, and they're retained. So the half track is deployed, redeployed. The Stug Platoon 2. Come on, seriously? Whoa, whoa, 1, 2, 1. So you guys are redeployed. Let's move them into the box. Do I have any broken weapons? Yes, I have a broken mortar. Okay, so let me check to see if I have a chance to repair. No, I don't. So I'm going to deploy with a broken mortar into play. Okay. Next up, we do fortification removal, non-applicable. CPP replenishment. Each side now makes a secret die roll, 2 dice to replenish its CPP. Now, because this is a counterattack, I only get half of this number, so let's roll this. This is an 8. Modifiers. Right now we have a friendly historical DRM is 0. Selected attack shit is +1. -1 for each 20 suffered by the friendly side in the previous campaign game scenario. And I believe it's fractions rounded down, so for 20 would be -4. -4 VP +1 is a -3. To the 8 is a 5, which is 18 CPP, of which I get 9. Alrighty, I got 9 VP. Okay, next up, I probably got to figure out what I'm going to buy. We next go down to initiative determination. So everything else is skipped. All right, I gotta figure out what to buy. Um, what would you guys buy? If I buy any infantry, they have to come on as reinforcements. They don't start on the map. I can maybe buy some mortars to fire some IR. I do have 81s here. I can fire illumination rounds, so I have that capability. Gonna have to do a lot of pen flares from the troops. I'm going to call it there, guys. I'll figure this out off screen. No point belaboring this. This is going to be a somewhat shorter video. What I will talk about is final thoughts um, of this game. Um, all right, so this is what we're looking at from the start. This is the pre-game bombardments and such. Um, Nothing really to see. As you can see, I made a push on to the north. Was very slow. I only had my AFVs initially, so they basically hung around the first hex with anticipation that once these guys here moved on to the board, they would be using some form of armored assault to cover their approach. I realized after around turn 3 that I probably should have been dropping some smoke in these locations just to smoke off the position in anticipation of these guys coming on, but I failed to do that for the first few turns. Camp Group 2, which was basically the this cluster up here, ran into a lot of difficulties. This is where I had my mortars deployed as well, and I realize now I maybe should have had them further south. They could have maybe done a little bit more here, or immediately start moving them up along this road as long as I have clear routes to advance. Something I probably didn't do clearly enough. Um, yeah. Camp Group 3, which was basically from this road intersection due south to here. Their primary objectives was to reach this road, of which some elements did, but it's unfortunate I was not able to control this railway station up here and these structures, because now I have this big area here that the Russians can easily set up in, and they can easily cut me off into two sections. So I'm going to have to be aware of that and how I deal with that. Yeah, Camp Group 3, they met most of their goals. I was able to secure the railway station, one. They were able to reach the street, but again, there's a cluster of buildings here that are going to be a bit of a pain in the butt. Right across the street, there's two fortified locations, which I'd love to have attained, but was not to be. But by and large, I was, mediocre success in this regard. It sucks I lost my two flamethrowers early on. They really could have helped with my push down into the southeast, into the children's home area. Help clear out all those stubborn pockets. The fact that I've generated, right in these two locations here, I generated a NKVD strong point. It's going to make it interesting in the subsequent scenarios until I can actually claim that. On the plus side, I do have my own fortified location here, which I've now been able to achieve. So this is going to be a good block point. I'll probably put in a couple machine guns here, probably a couple here, and they'll be able to easily control access along the courtyard. The children's home is going to be a thorn on my side. I'm probably going to set up back here in these rows of houses and just let them come across this debris. I don't know what the NVR is going to be yet, so I don't know how much visibility I'll have, but hopefully I'll be able to activate them before they get too close to me and wipe me out with their 4.58s and whatnot. And then finally this camp group 4, which was my southern elements from here down to here. Initial push was all right. Once I gained this area, however, I quickly lost momentum. And once my kill stack here in D46 broke, all the squads broke and the leader vaped, it became untenable to hold this position. Luckily, in the last turn, almost the last die roll, not really, these guys were able to enter the board and save the day down here in the south, giving me a nice little slice of terrain to hold. Again, a lot of open ground down here, so I'll be able to, with some strategic locations, be able to stop a lot of movement coming from the south. But there's going to be a lot of terrain for me to cover in the subsequent nighttime counterattack. Up here, again, because I own this block of land here, it's going to be quite easy to neutralize anything that comes down the open. Here might be a little bit dense. And again, we have this area here that I was unable to claim, so see how that goes. Next up, as you can see, this is the German turn 2, making a little bit of progress. A lot of panic in this one. Look at all the panic here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not a lot of good results there. Again, I forgot to use smoke up in the north, and you can see my camp group 3 starting to peter out already. And even more panics on the German. Look at this panic here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 panics on the German side. 10 panics in the German turn 3. So it's getting pretty rough. Luckily, the Russians were not able to counterattack. One of the rule variants I'm using is, in addition to the check for artillery strike at the beginning of every Russian prep fire phase and defensive fire phase, I make a roll to see if there's going to be local counterattack. And that hasn't panned out. So they've only been one enemy artillery strike, which was quickly canceled, and then a lack of any kind of counterattack except for the one unit that went berserk, and because of a random event, it happened down here. When did that happen? Yeah, right back here. On the Russian turn 1, unit here went berserk, and they were able to clear off this area. They broke this whole stack. This squad, half squad, I think it's a half squad here, was able to take out the berserk half squad attack in it, and these guys were able to hold firm against its attack. So this Russian minor counterattack quickly petered out, but the Russians by and large were not able to pull off any kind of offensive operations except for reclaiming. Now, I've been playing it where I ignore the action tables, which if you're familiar with solitaire, you know that you have to do that. When you're working with enemy forces, you roll a panic check, right? And if you pass your panic check, you're supposed to roll. That roll also tells you what to look for on the action tables in terms of whether you move or hold. If you hold, do you fire, that kind of stuff. I've been ignoring that, and I've just been doing what's in the best interest of the unit as I see it. Now, in some cases, I may not have made tactically sound decisions for the Russians, but by and large, I think it makes them stronger and tougher to fight. The caveat being, of course, that there's a crap load more of Russians generated than there are German forces opposing them. So even with those kind of rules, it could be quickly overwhelming depending on what's generated. Luckily for me, I was able to get a lot of 4.26s and 6.28 NKVD. Not the best troops, conscripts and second line, but they're easy to break, and aside from the 6.28s, hard to rally. So I was able to push them back I'll tally up the final numbers what was generated, but I don't think I had more than what, 3 or 4, maybe 447s, maybe half a dozen. A couple 527s, and the rest were 628 NKVD and 426s. Armor was a big problem. A lot of Russian armor showed up. The air bombardment took care of 3 of them, and then I was able to destroy several others in combat. The one thing I really failed to do, and you probably see me commented, see these AT guns here, and here, and all these ones up here. It turns out on the 14 September day, you're not supposed to have any Russian AT guns for whatever reason. I guess they weren't readily available. Even in the regular campaign game face-to-face, you're only allowed, I believe, to buy like 1 platoon worth for the 14 September scenario. So they're not readily available, and I generated, I want to say 6 or 7 of them. And it became a pain in the butt because they ended up immobilizing a vehicle. They destroyed one up here, flamed another one down here, which shouldn't have happened. So yeah, it's just one of those unfortunate things where I missed that small little footnote in the generation tables. Moving on. Turn 4, you can see I'm making a little bit more progress. I've got my northern elements in now, albeit rough terrain. Again, those 45 longs that showed up were not in my best interest in several cases, and definitely hindered operations up in that sector. Turn 5, I'm continuing to push forward. Making a lot more headway, but you can see the broken troops starting to rally or retreat back. This was a huge mistake. This is my heavy weapon platoon. I initially put them in concealed, so there was 2 mediums and 2 heavies and a 9.2 leader, thinking that they'd be ready to be able to deal with this, that this combat would go in my favor, and of course I lose this combat. I managed to reduce this 1 squad to a half squad, and basically at the end of the day, I very easily lost my complete heavy weapon platoon with 2 leaders because this 8-0 had joined him after his troops had abandoned him. That was probably stupid of me to commit my fire support that close. I should have had them at least 2 hexes away so they can vape stuff. But these are rubble hexes. I don't know if you can see that or not. This is a rubble hex. This is a rubble hex. I believe this is a rubble hex. So there's no way for me to get any kind of good long-range shots on these guys here. Unless I approach from the north, which would have taken a turn or 2 to reconfigure. Maybe that would have been a better move. I don't know. But would have definitely delayed the inevitable result. Luckily, in turn 7 Russian phase, when those 2 half squads enter close combat, I was able to back out of it because they rolled boxcars after gaining ambush. So they very easily could have killed me outright without even a chance to retaliate. And because they rolled boxcars, I was able to withdraw completely into the adjacent hex, and then I was subsequently able to shoot him up in the next phase. My 81 mortars spent the whole game dismantled, and then eventually lost 1 crew to a sniper, and the other one I decided just to use to gain ground, and I basically dropped my 2 mortars. Again, if I had been smart, the minute I cleared this first lane, these guys should have made a beeline as quickly as possible up to the north to help drop some smoke rounds up here. I don't know if that would have worked because that is a long route to travel. 5 portage points. I mean, you're using up all your move to go through debris hexes and there's several along the way. Alternatively, I could have put them down here, and they could have helped smoke off this place here, which probably would have been a better call. Put them in here, have a spotter out here, and then just drop the smoke rounds and HE rounds all through this area. Might have been easier to deal with. Probably should have done that, but silly. All right, German turn 7. My reinforcements have still not come on in the south. I'm making good headway up in the north. I was able to breach this street here. This artillery gun decimated me. I sent in a SASL troop here, 2 squads. Rolled a critical, I think it was. Didn't blow up the house, but rolled a critical and vaped 2 squads complete, leaving their support weapons in smoke and boots. And then the previous turn, there was another one that popped up, this guy right here. And this time he blew up 3 squads with a leader. You know, through subsequent shots because he kept getting rate of fire, and eventually he vaped 3 squads and a leader, leaving an ATR and not even a pair of boots. So that was really unfortunate, and I didn't know he was there because it was a black suspect counter, and when I moved 3 squads and a leader adjacent, even though they were concealed, they survived all this defensive first fire, but they were unable to withstand this point-blank artillery piece 76 long that just blew the shit out of them. So, note to self, use a lot more scouting forces. Don't commit a platoon forward. Send a single squad or half squad forward to try and activate as many of these black suspects as possible. That way you know what you're getting into. So, hopefully I remember that lesson in the future, because otherwise it gets very expensive. And the turn 8. Lines are starting to stabilize. My troops do manage to come on here in the south. As you saw in the last video, I was able to reestablish my lines for the subsequent missions. I've gained some foothold in this fortified building, but again, in the Russian turn, you'll see these become an NKVD because in the cellar, there's a black suspect. And when I activated it, because of this guy here, it turned into an NKVD platoon with a leader, a commissar, which automatically generates an NKVD strong point. So these 2 buildings here are now fortified on the ground level, and it's an NKVD strong point. So, oh well. And that's that. So final summary. I think it was. I met some objectives that I set for myself, especially in the north, and a little bit of Camp Group 3, able to chain lines on this road. But this center here, these factory buildings, were definitely on my objective list. I failed to collect those. It would have been nice to control this little block here. Just because, again, it gives me vantage points onto here and onto here, nice lines of fire down the road and such, so it would have been easier to defend. Now I've got this little dense terrain right adjacent to my terrain, so it's going to be troops right on top of each other right from the get-go. Yeah, there you go. That's what it is. So next up, I got to draw some boundaries. I got to pick my forces. I have to set up the Russian attack and then commence scenario operations after I determine NVR and stuff like that. So it's going to be fun. All right, you're going to notice, I don't know if I'll even clip it. Maybe I'll just keep the long pauses in. You guys can always skip it. I'm going to have chapters in here so you guys will be able to skip ahead. Yeah, I'm sure you, at this point, hopefully you've realized that. I didn't have to sit through an hour and a half of me babbling. Yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the initial scenario for campaign game 4. I'm really interested in your comments. I like the views that are coming in. More comments would be welcome, good or bad. Just tell me what you would have done differently and point out mistakes that I made. I'm always willing to learn, and I need to know those kinds of errors so that I don't repeat those mistakes as much as possible. A lot of moving pieces, a lot of stuff. I work from a north to south perspective, which just tends to be out of sequence. And one last thing, which I highly recommend, I'm going to put a link down in the comments, but what I would highly recommend you guys get your hands on is this. This is a solitaire advanced sequence of play. It's got the complete, very meticulous list of things to do in sequence. If you're playing SASL and you're worried about overlooking something, make sure you use this. I myself probably should have used this because there's no doubt I've skipped some certain steps. So it has 3 sections. There's a pregame sequence, the friendly side, which runs on for 6 pages, and then you have the enemy side's turn. Again, quite comprehensive. It's basically derived off of the original ASL SOP, but it's geared towards SASL. So again, very handy if you're going to do that. I'll put the link down below. I think it's been updated as of 2021 January. But yeah, I highly recommend you get this little download to use in your own games. I take no credit for it. It's not mine. I'm just showing you it so you guys can go to the source and actually download it. Very handy tool. And I'm going to make sure that I endeavor to use this because there's obviously stuff that I've forgotten. All right, that's it for me, guys. Probably going to be a few days before I post the next videos. You'll see this one on probably Wednesday on February 23rd. And yeah, maybe Sunday I'll start off the new nighttime counterattack. Should be interesting. I have to remember to use sewers for the Russians. I'm not familiar with sewer rules, and I'm kind of loath to use them, to be honest. But I might have to use them, especially in areas like this that are nice and open. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you much for watching, sticking with me throughout the series, and I will see you guys in the next one. You have a great one.